When I heard about Little Marvin, who is this director, writer, just genius.
They called her the Queen of Action Movies, but behind the fame, Pam Grier was fighting battles no one could see. At just 6 years old, she suffered a trauma that shattered her innocence forever. Attacked by boys who were supposed to protect her, and when she was 18, it happened again. Reopening wounds she thought she'd buried. Then came Hollywood, a world that praised her beauty but tried to exploit it, where producers offered her fame in exchange for her body. But Pam refused every offer and fought back. Her real battles weren't just in front of cameras, they were in life. And in 1988, her most terrifying enemy wasn't a man. It was growing inside her, as doctors told her she had stage 4 cervical cancer and only months to live. But before that, Pam's journey had already been a storm of pain, strength, and survival. Born in 1949 in Winston-Salem, North Carolina, to a nurse mother and an Air Force father, she grew up moving from base to base, never truly belonging anywhere. When the family moved to England, she saw what equality felt like. The children there didn't judge her skin, they just saw her heart. But back in America, everything changed. Racism was everywhere. Buses refused to stop for her family, restaurants turned them away, and she was even told not to swim in white-only pools. Yet Pam came from strong ancestors who had escaped slavery through the Underground Railroad, and that spirit of resilience became her armor. At 18, desperate to pay for college, she joined the Miss Colorado Universe pageant and, though she didn't win, her beauty and confidence caught someone's eye. That connection led her to Hollywood. Life there wasn't glamorous. She worked over 40 jobs just to survive, sometimes eating one meal a day while sleeping in tiny apartments. She even lied her way into a casting agency just to get her foot in the door. And when she finally landed her first uncredited movie role, she treated the set like her classroom, watching and learning everything. Then came The Big Dollhouse, her first breakout, and from that point on, Pam became unstoppable. She trained in martial arts, built her body, and did her own stunts because she didn't want anyone to think she couldn't handle it. Films like The Big Birdcage, Coffee, and Foxy Brown turned her into a legend. Her characters weren't victims, they were warriors. She fought drug dealers, corrupt men, and injustice, always with power in her eyes and truth in her movements. Her famous razor blade in the afro scene from Coffee became one of the most shocking and iconic moments in film history. Pam Grier didn't just act tough. She was tough, but the reality off-screen was much darker. Hollywood often tried to box her into roles filled with nudity and stereotypes. She resisted as much as she could, but it was a lonely fight. Her love life was filled with heartbreak, too. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar asked her to give up her independence. Freddie Prinze took his own life after calling her one last time. And Richard Pryor's drug addiction nearly killed her when doctors found cocaine residue in her body from their relationship. Then, just when she thought she'd survived it all, cancer arrived like a final test. Doctors gave her 18 months to live. She was in the middle of filming Above the Law with Steven Seagal and kept the diagnosis a secret, showing up to work every day while her body was breaking down. Her boyfriend abandoned her during chemo, and when her sister died of breast cancer soon after, Pam nearly lost all hope. But one night, she saw a PBS documentary about alternative healing that changed everything. She began combining chemotherapy with acupuncture, yoga, and herbs, rebuilding her strength piece by piece. Slowly, the cancer disappeared. Pam had done the impossible. She survived, but her recovery wasn't just physical, it was emotional. Years later, in therapy, she finally spoke about the pain she had carried since childhood. The assaults, the shame, the fear. She realized that every fearless character she had played was her way of taking back power. They weren't fiction, they were fragments of her truth. When Quentin Tarantino wrote Jackie Brown just for her, he didn't just bring her career back, he honored everything she stood for: strength, beauty, survival, and rebellion. The film made millions, earned her a Golden Globe nomination, and proved that Pam Grier wasn't just a movie star, she was a movement. In the 2000s, she brought that same strength to television in Law & Order, SVU, and The L Word, showing a whole new generation what courage looked like. Even in her 70s, she continued to inspire, starring in comedies like Bless This Mess and Palms, proving that age could never dim her fire. Pam Grier's story is one of the most powerful in Hollywood history. A journey of pain, defiance, survival, and triumph. She turned her scars into strength, her trauma into legacy, and her voice into a weapon for truth. Even today, she stands as a living symbol of resilience, reminding the world that heroes aren't just made in movies, they're forged in real life. Don't forget to subscribe to Hollywood Bulletin and press the bell icon so you never miss another untold story of the legends who changed Hollywood forever.